Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. So it has been a while since I've sat down and filmed. I have recently just gone back to work. This is going to be my first full week back this week. So just trying to get back into the swing of things. Obviously I've had a lot of videos scheduled, so you haven't missed out on any. But for me, actually sitting down and filming, it's been a little while. So I am back today with another Chats with Charlie, and I'm going to be talking about toxic friends. So if you have a toxic friend in your life, if you are the toxic friend and you're not sure whether you have some of those traits, if you want to cut a friend out of your life, then please keep watching this video. So to start with, I am going to talk about just some of my personal friendship struggles. And I think a lot of people can relate to this, where they've gone through periods of their time where they have loads of friends. I think when you're younger, you tend to have, I had a massive group of about 8 of us, and then your friendships as you get older, it just reduces and reduces, and you go through periods of time where you have loads of friends and then you have no friends, or you have just 1 or 2. And I think sometimes it's a struggle to go from having loads of friends, loads of different people you can talk to, and then just potentially none. And it doesn't necessarily mean that even when I had those group of 8 friends, I may have only had one proper friend within that friendship group. And I think it's very common for people to have friendship struggles. And because I've moved around from a lot of different schools, I went to 2 primary and 2 high schools, so I struggled with maintaining friendships and building really good friendships that last a long time. I think I was very envious of people that had been friends with people for like 10 years, or they've been friends with people like, oh, we literally went to nursery together and we've grown up together. And I've never really had that. I think my longest friendship is maybe, I say now at this age 22, is probably 10-11 years, but that friendship that I have with that person, we maybe speak once a year, but I know that we're still friends and like should still get an invite to the wedding kind of thing. But yeah, I don't have a friendship with somebody that's like we've been friends for years. So I think my closest friends now I've been friends with for 3 or 4 years. So yeah, moving schools, constantly being the new girl has been, well, not hard, like it's had its ups and its downs. I think for me, it was very easy for me to make friends, to be the new girl. Obviously, you have to put yourself out there, that helped when I went to uni then, because I had been the new girl a few times. I'd gone into schools where I don't know anybody. So I feel like I built those skills of how to make friends, but my struggles were with how to maintain those friendships, especially if I'd moved schools and gone to a different area, maintaining those friendships that I had from the previous school. So yeah, I've definitely gone through periods of time where I've had quite a lot of friends, no friends. When I moved schools, I went through a long period of time where I felt like I really didn't have anybody, and like my best friend was my mum, which I don't think even that's too bad. I'd rather have no friends than toxic friends. Yeah, so, and then sometimes you can be in a big friendship group, like I said, but you might not even have a close friend within that. You might just be friends because you've all gone to school together and because you've been friends for years, and that's your friendship group. So I think friendships come in all shapes and sizes. They can last for periods of time. I definitely think that some friendships, I think there's like a saying where it's like friendships are like seasons, they come and go. And I think some friends you're meant to have in your life forever, and some friends you're meant to have only for a certain period of time, and they teach you things. So that was just a brief background on my friendships that I've had, some struggles that I've had. I completely get it when you go from a big friendship group to a very small friendship group, or having no friends. I've been there, had loads of friends, had no friends, and I've had lots of different type of friends. And I think really sometimes these toxic friends, which this is like the hardest part of it all, are often your bestest friends. And they're the ones that are the hardest to try and cut out of your life, to identify them even as a toxic friend, because they're your bestest friend. How could they be a toxic friend? And you may even be the toxic friend and not even realise. So I just wanted to kind of make this video and kind of establish all of those points. Now to move on to how to identify a toxic friend. And this is just what I have experienced. And I think a lot of the time these toxic friendships are one-sided. if you're always the one messaging that person first, if you're always the one putting yourself out there, if you're always the friend out of, I'm just going to say the two of you, so you and somebody else, this one specific person in your friendship group or your best friend that you think some things that they do annoys me, or I'm afraid to do this just in case of that. These are the kind of traits and qualities that I've noticed in some of my toxic friends. Is the friendship is very one-sided. You potentially are doing a lot of things for that person, but they might not do that much for you in return, and you don't even realise that that's the case. I know before that has been me. I've noticed that I've had friends that do a lot for me, and in return I actually don't do that much for them. And then you reflect and think, I definitely could be a better friend to this person. So one trait is the one-sided friendship. And obviously for me, I think the biggest trait of having a toxic friend is they're controlling. They control, potentially you're not allowed to have any other friends, they are your only friend. And I had a friend like this for a couple of years, where it was like, I'm your best friend, and any other friends that you have to be friends with me, and if I don't like them, you don't like them. And I think sometimes that's just like a basic friendship where you kind of, if your best friend doesn't really like someone, you're like kind of wary of them yourself. But having a friend that's like, you're my best friend and nobody else is allowed to be close friends with you, that is somebody that is really controlling and doesn't want you to be friends with anybody else, wants you to spend all of their time with them, do everything with them. They may even be controlling in different aspects where not necessarily they're controlling with your time, but they might control you in terms of like, they're very clever people, so they might control you into the things that you wear or the things that you like. So you might, for example, let's say back in the day you were a really big fan of like One Direction, and they were like, I don't like One Direction, like if you like them that's weird. And you're like, oh no, I don't like them, I've changed my mind, I don't like them, I don't think they're good. Then that's a controlling friend, because they're telling you what you should like, what they think is cool, and if you think it's cool, then like it makes you like less of a person, or not as cool because you like something that they don't like. So then you have to change yourself because of them. And I think sometimes when you are at that younger age, like in your early teens, you do have friends that are big personalities. And what I have found is I've always been best friends with people that have a bigger personality than me. I think sometimes I can be a natural leader, but I'm also quite a follower. So I tend to attach myself with big personalities, people that are natural leaders and kind of bossy and will tell you how to do things. So I've always been attracted, not like sexually attracted, but I've always been like friendship wise attracted more towards people that have big personalities and are quite like leaders. But I think sometimes in your pre-teens or your teen years, you have these big personalities that will tell you, we don't like this band, you shouldn't like this band. Or, oh my god, why do you fancy him, he's so gross. And you think, oh no, I don't, it was a joke. It might be that they genuinely don't realise that they're being controlling, and sometimes you can just put it down to age. I think as you get older and you grow out of that, like One Direction isn't cool, you shouldn't like them because we don't like them kind of thing, then you just think, if you're really still doing that at 18, 19, 20, you need to get a grip. They're the traits that I think a toxic friend has, where they're quite controlling. You can't have other friends, or you can't like this music, you can't fancy that person, or you can't wear that because that's not in fashion, or that's not cool. And a friendship should really be about, especially a best friend, honesty. So if they say, look, I don't think that's the most flattering thing to wear, but if you like, maybe wear this instead. But if they're saying that looks horrible on you, why would you wear that, or like that's so like last year, then they're the kind of friendships that you need to reevaluate and think, how healthy is this friendship for myself, and are they actually a true friend, or are they a toxic friend? Another trait that I think is very easy, or easy as an outsider, but when you're inside the friendship not as hard to see, is a toxic friend, or a friend that isn't a true friend, is when you have something good that happens to you, how do they react to your successes? So just an example of, you got a really good grade in your exams, and are they like, oh, that's amazing, I'm so proud of you, I know how hard you've worked, you really deserve this? Or are you like, yeah, but everybody got a good grade in that test? So you need to think of like, how are they congratulating you? How do they react when you succeed? And especially a really good friend, if they don't succeed or they haven't got something and you have, how do they react to that? So again, another example is, let's say we've finished uni and my friends have got jobs and I haven't. For me, I think it's really important, and I had to be really conscious that I was congratulating my friends when they got new jobs. I sent them cards, new job cards, just to really say, well done, I'm so proud of you, I know how hard you work, this is amazing, I'm so happy for you. Yes, a part of me was a bit like, oh, what about me? But I didn't just sit there and think, oh, well, they only got that because of this, or it's only for this amount of time. Do you know what I mean? Like, that kind of friend, that bitterness isn't healthy. And I've definitely had that bitterness before and been guilty of, a friend has been successful and I'm there, sat there thinking like, yeah, but they only got that because of this, so it's fine, to make myself feel better. But that isn't a true friend, and that is quite a toxic trait, and that's a trait that I had in my teens, and I know that I've been that kind of friend before, and that's why it's so important for me now to think, that's so amazing for them, well done, and congratulate them. Even though I haven't been successful, it's amazing that they have been. And having that kind of trait is a true friend, and someone that you can just, someone that you want to have in your life, a positive person. And most often than not, a toxic friend is quite a negative influence and person in your life that you might not even necessarily is that negative. And like I said before, I've definitely had friendships in the past where once it's ended, I reflected and thought, that was actually really quite a negative person in my life, or that person didn't really bring me up, they brought me down. And now having really positive friendships in my life, like the girls that I met at uni, or the girls that I met at college, like my home friends, having really positive people that are constant positives, lifting you up, building you up, and make you feel good, you then see actually all those friendships that I had before that I thought we were best friends weren't great, and they never congratulated me, they never said that I looked nice if you're going out. Do you know, like those small things, I was saying, wow, that you look really amazing in that top, or wow, your body looks incredible in that dress. I never really had that until I have these positive influences in my life. And then you think, why did my friends never want to lift me up and build your confidence? Surely that's what friends are for. And then you think, actually, those friendships weren't that great. And I think another trait for me that I have realised and reflected on for toxic friends is, do you lie to them to prevent drama? And I think you would think, what do you mean? Well, I have lied to friends in the past about really small things because I know that they're going to react, they're going to be there, it's a lot of drama, there could potentially be a gossip. I think sometimes with these really big personalities and potentially your best friend is, if something happens to you, or if you can't make a plan or something like that, if you can't make it and oh my god, what am I going to say, I'll just lie because I don't want to create a drama. Like, I'm sure in the past I've meant to be meeting up with a friend, and because they are quite a big personality, I've been like, oh, I'm really sorry I can't make it, my grandma is really, really ill, and she wasn't. And I've said that really quite a horrible lie because I'm so afraid of how they're going to react because I'm cancelling the plan. And it might even be that we were just meant to be going to get coffee, or we were just meant to go shopping, but I'm so worried about the drama they will create that I've made up such a big lie so their reaction isn't so dramatic. And you think, surely a true friend, if you're just saying, look, I'm really not feeling it today, I'm sorry, my head isn't in it, I'm feeling quite anxious today, I'm not feeling well, I'm just not feeling it. A true friend will be like, listen, don't worry about it, we'll reschedule, I hope you're feeling all right, I'll see you soon. But the type of friends that are like, but we've had this plan for ages, but this, but that, and make you feel bad, they're the kind of friendships that you need to reflect on and think, hold on, a true friend would be like, listen, don't worry about it, you come first. But those kind of friendships where they're like, no, I come first, I've been planning this, that, and another, and you're like having to lie just to prevent some drama, they're the kind of friendships that you're like, I don't need that in my life. And I think I've definitely come to the point now. I went through a period of time where I was just like, I was so easy for me to cut friendships, where I was like, oh, this is becoming a bit too much effort, cut it. And I had no friends because I just had no, I think I'd had quite a few dramatic friendships. But by the time like I come to uni, that I was like ready to cut friends before I'd even really established a friendship. And I think you can definitely get to that stage where you've had one too many toxic friends in your life, where you're like, oh, over it, over this friendship, they're being really dramatic, or this, that, and the other, I'll just have no friends. And then you can just be in a place where you're like, friends are like, friendships are so hard that I can't even be bothered to work at them, that you have no friends. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, the friendships that I have in my life, I really work to keep, because I know that they're good and they're positive. And ideally, like, when I say I really work hard to keep them, I just mean that I check up with them, I make sure that we FaceTime, make sure that I see them as often as I can. But a friendship for me that I want to keep shouldn't have to be hard work. And I recently just went to go and stay at my friend's house, and we've been friends since college, been friends since uni, like throughout uni. She's now like, we've been friends for quite a while. We've gone through different stages of our lives, like went to college together and then we went to different unis and we didn't see each other as much. She's now got her house with her fiance, and I'm in different areas now. We literally used to live on the same road, and that could have been very much like a friendship for convenience because we lived on the same road and went to college together. But now we have our own lives going on, we don't even live in the same area, but I want to keep that friendship because I know that she's such a positive influence in my life. But we could go months and months without talking, and we come back together, and like I said, I've seen her recently, we're saying that this friendship has lasted and is so good because it's easy. Friendships should be easy, they shouldn't be too much hard work. If you feel like a friendship is really hard work to keep it, or just to be in it, then it you need to reflect on why that is. Why is it hard to be friends with somebody? It should just be easy. They should be understanding. If you're busy, life happens, you live in different areas now, so you're not able to see each other as much. It should just be like, that's just life, but I'm still friends with you, and when we're together it's as if nothing changed. And they're the friendships that I want in my life now, where we can just see each other when we're able to and nothing's changed, and neither of us is annoyed or frustrated like, oh, I haven't seen you in ages. It's just, we've not had the chance. And those are the kind of friendships that I want. A friendship that is too hard work, or that you feel really guilty because you haven't seen them and they're making you feel bad. They're the kind of friendships that you need to reflect on and think, are they that great for me? So I've covered my friendship struggles and my kind of background into some of my friendships and how to identify a toxic friend. And I'm sure there's loads of other traits. I quickly just googled before this video, and there's loads of things, such as they're very critical, they're gossips, all that kind of thing. But I just wanted to keep this video personal to what I have felt, what I have experienced. Because I'm sure if you want to just Google toxic trait in friends, all of the same things are going to come up. But I think to make this video personal to me, these are some of the things that I have experienced personally and that I know are not the best traits in friendships. So I'm now going to move on to, am I the toxic friend? Sometimes it's so easy to point fingers and blame other people. Well, they're not doing this, they're not doing that, they're not making the time and the effort to come and see me, so why should I go and see them? And I think sometimes, not all too often, we reflect on ourselves and think, am I actually being a good friend? And it's not until you turn around and question yourself, am I the toxic friend, that you think, oh God, maybe I haven't been the best friend to somebody, maybe I have been a little bit controlling, or I have been quite critical, or I have been a bit of a gossip. That's when you need to reflect on yourself and I think, actually, I could be the toxic friend. And like I said before, I have no doubt that I have probably been a shitty friend to somebody, and I have probably been the toxic friend. And not even in my teen years, I'm sure I've probably been a toxic friend in my 20s, because you're learning sometimes, not that this is an excuse, but so much is going on in your life that you're actually not being a great friend to somebody. So these are just some of the things that I want to kind of put across, and to like question yourself. Am I being a good friend to the people around me? And that is the first thing. Am I quite critical of one friend? Is that one friend in your friendship group? And it could potentially be you're critical because you've been friends with them for years, but you're actually too critical, and you potentially see them as a sister, but you're actually like critical quite a lot. And maybe they've got a new job, or they've got a new hairstyle, and you're like, it doesn't really suit you. And you're saying that because you've been friends for years and you're quite honest, but as on the receiving end of that friend might be sitting there thinking, oh God, I know they're going to say something. They always have something to say. They always comment on what I'm wearing. They always comment on my hair. And they're probably sitting there thinking like, oh, what are they going to say now? And you could actually be quite a big influence in their life. So if you say to them, I don't like your new hair, I don't like your new boyfriend, you could be actually quite a negative influence in their life, and in turn a bit of a toxic friend. And I think being very critical of one friend's, and it seems like you're digging and you're putting them down, and potentially they're a bit too afraid to come to you and say, look, I know you're my friend, I know you care about me, but you are putting me down quite a lot, and I don't think you realise that you're doing it, but it has had an effect on me. You don't want to get to that stage where someone's coming to you and is like, you're actually being quite negative and quite a toxic friend. Sometimes I think you do need to reflect on yourself and thinking, am I doing those things? Am I being quite critical of somebody that I know close to me? And could I potentially be a bad or a toxic influence in their life? And just to reflect on yourself. So that's one thing that I would say, if you've got a friendship and you think, actually, am I being the bestest friend to somebody at the minute? Am I being really critical? It's just something to question. Another thing is, how do I react when I celebrate a friend's success? Which is, like I said before, I know in the past that I haven't been to congratulate somebody on their success because of how I feel about it. And I think that is really quite a negative thing, to think about how you feel first before congratulating somebody. It's like, it's not about you. If your friend has just got a new job, if your friend has got a new boyfriend, if your friend is doing really well, they're feeling really happy, or they've lost some weight, or that kind of thing, and you're thinking, oh, but what about me? Or that's not fair, or, you know, yeah, but this, that and the other, before saying, that's amazing, I'm so happy for you, they need to think, why am I doing that? Am I jealous? Is it because I don't want to see them succeed? You have to reflect and question yourself, why do I act that way? Why can't I just be genuinely happy for a friend and congratulate them? And why is my first thought, oh, you know? So I think it's really important to look at yourself and think, how do I react when my friend does well? Because I think now that I know that I have been that friend, and I haven't been the first person to congratulate somebody or feel genuinely happy for somebody, I'm almost the opposite now, where as soon as somebody gets like a job interview, or they've got a job, or that kind of thing, I'm the first person to be like, right, I'm going to send them a card, I'm going to send them some flowers, I'm going to send a big long message, I'm going to do this and that and the other, because I really want this person to feel that I am there to support them, I'm genuinely happy for them, and just feel like I am there. I'm so happy for you, because I know how it feels when me personally, when I have success and I want to celebrate it and I want to tell my friends, and I've had friends in the past that have been like, not said anything, or they've been quite distant, or you've had this really good thing happen to you, they're like, oh wow, well done, and moving on back to me, and then they ignore you for a few days, and you think, that was weird. Why did they do that? And it's not nice when you want something good to happen to you and you almost feel like you can't share it with your friends because they're not going to be happy for you. Like, your friends should lift you up and celebrate your successes. And if you're one of those people that you have a friend and you don't congratulate them, you don't bring them up, or they feel like they can't come to you, or they hide things from you because they know that you're not going to react well, or they know that you're not going to be uplifting and congratulate them, then you need to think, why do they not come to me? It might be that a friend tells everybody else that potentially, let's just go with the example that they've got a new job and you're one of the last people to find out, yet you're their best friend. You've got to think, why is that? Have they not told me first because they don't think I'm going to be happy for them? Why? So I think reflecting on yourself, am I the toxic friend? How do I celebrate my friends' successes is really an important thing to ask yourself, because if the answer is that I don't always celebrate my friends' successes, you've got to think why. That's not a healthy thing to do. Again, another trait when you're reflecting on yourself as a friend is, do I only message someone when I want something? Do I only message a friend because potentially you don't drive, they do, you need a lift somewhere? Do you only message a friend when everybody else is busy and you're bored and they're available? And being that kind of friend, because like I said, I know I have been that friend before, where let's say my boyfriend's busy and I've got nothing else to do, I guess I'll go and see my friend and message to see if they're free. That's not a nice thing to do. That's not being a good friend, where you kind of only make plans with them because there's nothing else to do, because you're bored, because they have a car and they can drive you somewhere. You've got to think, that's actually, you're using that friendship, you're using that person, and they might be the type of person that really values your friendship, thinks you're really good friends, but you're like, oh, Sophie, let's say, Sophie drives, I'm bored, I'm going to message Sophie, see if she'll nip me into town, we'll go for a coffee and a catch up, but really I just want to message Sophie because I know she can nip me into town and she drives. And you've got to think, that's actually quite a shitty thing to do, and that's not being a good friend. So if you're only messaging someone because you want something, you're bored, you want to see if they're free because there's nothing else to do, then you again have to reflect on yourself and think, why am I doing that? And potentially that's not a healthy thing for that other person. They could be sat there thinking, oh great, Charlotte wants to hang out with me, let's go for a coffee, but really I'm sat here thinking, I'm only using her because she's got a car. So only messaging someone because you want something, again, having that one-sided friendship is another trait, I think, of being a toxic friend. And I'd say for the final thing in terms of, am I the toxic friend? You're in a group of people and as soon as one person leaves the room, you gossip. That's also being a toxic friend, because if that person is genuinely thinks that you're all really close, you're all best friends, and I think it's so easy for this to happen, again, not an excuse, but when you're younger, like I said, when I was in a bigger friendship group in my pre-teens, I think it's very easy to have that one friend that was, you saw as an easy target, which I did. I had one friend that was like an easy target. As soon as she left the room, I would gossip. And you think that's actually, again, a really shitty thing to do, because that person clearly thinks that they're part of the group, that everyone is friends with them, but as soon as they leave, everyone bitches about them. That's not a good friend. That's a toxic friend. That's a toxic friendship group. And having a group like that where you think everybody's friends, but really when you talk to people, the whispering about somebody else within the group, that's not a friendship group that I want to be a part of. And I think it potentially, that could all come down to age, and it could be that as soon as that friendship group matures, nobody's like that anymore, we're all genuinely friends. So I do think, again, not that it's an excuse, but when you're younger, you do go through those stages where you're in a really big friendship group with all the girls and all the boys, and somebody leaves the room and it's, did you guess what Tara did the other day? She went to Jason's house. And you're like, actually, Tara doesn't want you to talk about that. She told you that in confidence. So the fact that you're then gossiping and telling the whole group, you're a toxic friend. And gossiping about somebody as soon as they leave the room, not a nice thing to happen. I've had it happen to me, where as soon as I've left the room, I know people are talking about me. When you join and sit at the table, the conversation stops. Why? Because they were talking about you. So being the toxic friend and having toxic friends, I can see I have been on both sides, and I think it's just important to put across that if you're doing that or that's happening to you, you are a toxic friend, and you either need to look at yourself or remove yourself from that friendship group because it really isn't worth it. So are you gossiping about somebody as soon as they leave the room? As soon as they leave, you're like, oh my god, what is she wearing? And she comes back and you're like, oh my god, love your dress. That's so bitchy. And I know that I've done that before. And I know that somebody has worn something and I've been like, oh my god, love that dress. And she leaves the room like, it's the fucking ugliest dress I've ever seen. I almost want to insert like the Mean Girls quote, but I don't. I feel like that's inappropriate.
Love your skirt. Where did you get it? That is the ugliest effing skirt I've ever seen.
But yeah, I think sometimes you need to reflect on yourself. Am I doing that? Is there somebody that I'm critiquing all the time? Am I using them because I know that they have something that I want? Am I not celebrating their success? Am I gossiping about them as soon as they leave the room? You need to reflect on why you're doing that. Are you unhappy in your life and you think you see them as an easy target and it makes you feel better? Because if that is the case, then you need to reflect on yourself and think, why am I doing that? Especially like now, like I think sometimes when you're younger, it's a little bit more accepted because you're going through all these changes, the hormones, and you're trying to discover who you are, and by doing that sometimes you do shit on some of your friends. But now when you're in your 20s, it's like there's no excuse. You're a woman, you're an adult. If you're still doing that to your friends, then you need to have a reality check as to why you're doing that, because that's really sad. So I've covered my friendship struggles, how to identify a toxic friend, and am I the toxic friend? So I just kind of wanted to end this video on how to cut a toxic friend out of your life. Like I said, if you are the toxic friend, I think you just need to have a reevaluation of yourself, why you're doing that, why you potentially are focusing on one person and critiquing them. Are you jealous? I think if you are the toxic friend, you need to just reevaluate yourself as to why you're doing that. But if you have a toxic friend in your life, and it's probably more than likely one of your closest friends, your best friends, then these are some of the things that I have just discovered and done as to ways to cut them out and to make your life drama free and just a little bit more simple. So it depends. If this is like your closest friend, you've been friends for years and you want to continue this friendship, but there's a few things that need to be sorted, then I think the easiest way is to just, well, I say easy, it's going to be really hard, but have a conversation with them. Sit them down and say, look, Stacey, I just want to say that I really appreciate your friendship. You are my bestest friend. We've been friends for years, and that's why I need to be honest with you and say that over the past couple of weeks, I just feel like you are having a bit of a dig at me. You're a bit critical. I don't think you realise that you're doing it, but you put me down, and it's now starting to have an effect on myself and how I see this friendship. And I really want to continue this friendship, and I don't want it to go forward with me feeling like this. So I think if it's a friendship that you want to keep, but you want sickness out of the friendship, then I think you need to sit down and have a conversation, which again isn't going to be easy. It's going to be quite uncomfortable, but I think you either will get one or two things out of that conversation. The other person will either be like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I didn't even know that I was doing it, I have a lot going on at home right now and I think I've been taken out on you, I'm really sorry. Or they'll go the other way and be like, I don't know what you're talking about, you're being dramatic. Then if they do that, cut them out. Then obviously you've tried to work through it, you've told them this is how I'm feeling, I want to keep this friendship, and they flip it on you and again critiquing you, putting you down, then you know that actually, yeah, I don't want this friendship. And you can outgrow friendships, and I think if you get to that point where somebody isn't listening, they're not understanding, and they don't see what they're doing, then you've outgrown that friendship, and it's better not to have them than to have somebody that keeps nitpicking and is a negative person in your life. So first, try and explain and talk to them if you want to keep the friendship. If not, at first, limit the amount of time that you spend with them. So if you always choose to have sleepovers, potentially just spend a bit of time with them, see how they are. If it's definitely, yeah, they're still being like this, I don't want the friendship, limit the amount of time and eventually distance yourself from them. Because these kind of people, quite often, like I said, they're big personalities, cause drama, and you just want to limit the amount of drama so you can pull away from the friendship and just do your own thing. So limit the amount of time that you spend with them, and then eventually start to distance yourself. And it might be that they'll call you out on it. Look, you're not spending any time with me. And I think sometimes even then, I don't know, everyone's different, but at that point, I would just send a message or ring them, or if you want to, go and see them and have that conversation. But look, this is how I'm feeling, and I just feel I've outgrown the friendship and I am distancing myself. And again, they'll react one of two ways, but try to limit your time, distance yourself, and eventually you'll just distance from each other, and then you'll stop talking as much, and then you won't be friends, and they're out of your life. And like I mentioned, how to cut a toxic friend out of your life will really depend on how toxic they are. If you are my friend, nobody else is, really controlling, needs you every day, and they're that kind of friend, which again I've had before, block. That's the only way that I've been able to get over one of my friendships. Is they were quite controlling, they had a lot of their own stuff going on, but that's not an excuse as to why they would be a shitty friend. That too many nasty things were said, and I don't want to sit down and talk about it. I can't forgive it. Bottom line, I just don't want to be a friend anymore, and I know that a lot of drama's going to come from it. I can't bother to deal with it. I'm just going to block you. Sometimes that is the biggest thing that you need to do, if they're that kind of person, is to block, delete, stop seeing, just cold turkey. We are not friends anymore. I do not like the way you're treating me. Block, ignore. Because that way you've got no contact from them. Yeah, they might try and contact you through other things, but sometimes those kind of friendships that are really toxic, they're really dramatic, and you really don't want to be their friend anymore. You do have to just be quite harsh and just cut all ties, because sometimes that is the only way that you're going to cut that friend out of your life, is to literally cut all ties. Which, again, I've said it before, say it again, I'd rather have no friends than a bunch of toxic friends. So even if that's like your only friend, because they are quite controlling, you can't have any of the friends, and you think, oh, but then I'm going to have no friends. Well, would you rather have no friends and feel more free and happy and positive than to just keep this friendship for the sake of having a friend that's really negative and is bringing you down constantly? I would rather be more free, positive, and have no friends than have one person that keeps dragging me down, brings a lot of drama and is a gossip. So that is how I would cut a toxic friend out of my life. Try and explain. If they don't understand, limit your time, distance, and if you have to, block, delete, cut all ties. So that is my video all about toxic friends, how to identify, and if you're the toxic friend. I really hope you've all enjoyed this video. I will link down below a blog post that I wrote a couple of years ago about friendships, which is more just talking about how the difficulties of finding friends, remaining friends, and just some of my struggles with friendships. So I'll link that down below if you're interested. Other than that, I hope you've all really enjoyed this video. Please give it a big like, leave me a comment again, because I read all of them. Not that I've got loads, I literally get one, but I read them all. I like to respond to you guys and interact, so please leave me a comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.